Welcome, Mr. Cesar Costa. InspectionX.
All right.
There we go, guys.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you, Eric. D'Angelo, is Eric here? To help me to file the class as a CE class. Thanks, Fabio, to come here. My son and founder of InspectionX. And at the beginning, I was teaching my son a lot of stuff throughout 10 years doing inspections. And now, my son is teaching me. So that's very exciting. I'm learning so much on AI and stuff. So today we're going to be talking about not only defects through the ages, but the key thing is how to use AI. I tried to file to be just a pure AI class. DPBR didn't allow me. So I need to talk about inspections. So that's fine, to talk about inspections and AI. So let's have some fun today on AI. So my idea here, when I'm doing inspections, I'm always trying to improve the customer experience. How I can provide value, good information, provide education, and at the same time control my liabilities, right? My exposure. So and the report has this dual role of education and liability control. So lately, with AI, in the last couple of years, I'm trying to use AI to help me to write better comments that would explain more, that would control liabilities as well. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go over the lessons that I learned through the way, what I learned with Fabio, what solutions we have to improve customer experience and our effectiveness in the field. So I'm going to have you to control the slides. Fabio is going to talk also as well, especially on AI and market available solutions. So when I'm out there writing report, a structure that works for me is to report the issue, discuss briefly the implication, and maybe give them a direction on what they need to do. I know that people have different approaches. I see some inspectors, they only want to report the issue. Some people don't want to give recommendations. But I want to add as much value to the customer as I can and give them a direction. So that's the structure that I use. So going to AI, I started a prompt with ChatGPT. And let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go briefly. I'm going to give you a lot of ideas in half hour, like a brainstorm and like some background on what you're trying to do. Then we're going to go a little slower. Fabio is going to break out what is a prompt, what is AI, how to write it. And then I'm going to go even more slowly on how to build all those comments and the prompts. At the end, I'm going to give you the prompt that we can use right there with the conclusion of what we got. We're going to give you a list of defects, and you're going to be able to download everything. In your tables, you have the QR code also to download. We're going to have here on the screen. We're going to have a break in the middle. There is lunch, so we can meet and talk as well. We're going to be available here. So going to ChatGPT quickly, I started this prompt with this statement there. So I opened ChatGPT and I just type it. You're an experienced home inspector reporting assistant in Florida. So every time that you go to ChatGPT, you need to tell it who they are impersonating, because ChatGPT doesn't know. They should give you a response as a consumer, as a lawyer, as an accountant, as a doctor. So you need to tell them you are a home inspector, because now everything, the language, the analysis is going to be on the realm of inspections. So some people forget to tell them who they are, and you don't get the proper result. So you're a experienced home inspector assistant in Florida, because Florida conditions are different than New Jersey. We don't have snow, right? So create a clear, concise, and professional inspection comment. If you don't say that, clear, concise, and professional comment, if it's not clear and concise, it might not be clear, and it's not going to be concise. It's going to be a big comment. And you can lose your track there. Based on the input provided, when applicable, using structured defect implication recommendation. So that's my starting point with the prompt. And now we're going to evolve this prompt, and I'm going to give you several situations on how we can adjust, and at the end, you're going to have your own more complex and professional prompt. So I started to test this initial prompt. By the way, have you done this before? Going to ChatGPT and try prompts? Anybody? Only 2 people? 3, 4, 5? Has anyone did not use ChatGPT yet? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to come back to the basics, and we're going to show you what it is and how to get it started. No problem at all. But now on ChatGPT, after typing that statement, my input is going to be dripping faucet. Dripping faucet. That's the comment that I got. Dripping faucet was observed indicating the plumbing defect. Continued dripping can lead to water waste, increased utility cost, moisture-related damage to surrounding materials. Recommended repair and replacement by a qualified plumbing contractor. What is the problem with that AI-generated comment?
That you didn't write it.
I didn't write it, and didn't came exactly what I wanted. Am I going to recommend a qualified plumber to fix a dripping faucet? Yep. You can, but I can have a handyman to do this for $75 instead of $250 of a plumber, right? Are we over-escalating this? Damages to surrounding materials, really? Yeah, it can happen, but what is the probability? So I might want to have a toned down comment for this situation. So let's see the adjustment that I have done. I think this is too long for a simple issue. I think it is over-escalation. The thing is that AI does sometimes not what you want. It does what you allow. So we need to start controlling and giving more instructions. And on giving instructions, I asked my assistant the other day, I said, listen, I'm so busy here. Can you bring me a sandwich? And yeah, she brought me a sandwich. That's a sandwich. However, I was thinking on something more like that. What was the mistake here? I didn't explain what kind of sandwich I wanted, right? I had to say, well, bring me a sandwich with turkey, lettuce, and tomato on a 5-grain bread. AI is the same thing. If you don't give the details, you're not going to get what you want. Okay? So AI does what you allow, not what you expect. And that's the idea of the whole training here. I'm going to show you how you can control, allow, and give the direction so you get exactly what you need. And there is, different people have different approaches. If you ask a question for a plumber or a painter or an accountant, you're going to get different answers. The same thing for AI. AI is trying to guess. It might add few things. It might over-escalate, and we need to control it. The inspection report is not just information. It's a calibrated narrative of risk. Right? We're trying to assess what is the risk, how important it is, what could be possible consequences, and that narrative is the key on the inspection. I see that we have dials that are trying to adjust and try to give the proper information depending on each case, and that output is going to define the customer perspective, what they're going to understand, our risk exposure, and even the result of the real estate transaction. We can greatly impact the perception. Maybe the buyer feels confident and they buy the house. Maybe they feel scared and they walk away of the deal, just based on a comment. So I see these as levers that we can adjust. We can put to one side or the other side, right? The first one is the protection lever. If we're very protective on the language report, we are providing less advice, meaning the customer is going to get scared. The second one is the severity. If we go very strong on the severity to protect us, maybe that also is going to impact the perception of the report. And the third lever that we can adjust is the complexity. Too simple, not enough information. Too complex, too much, what is the right balance? This is like a guitar, right? If the string is too tight, doesn't produce sound. If it's too low, doesn't produce. You need to have the fine tuning. And that's our jobs as a home inspector, to fine tune the language for every specific situation. And how we can do this with AI, so AI would produce what we want, okay? So long comment, I'm gonna just share a situation that happened with me. There was October last year. Realtor called me and said, oh my God, I'm losing my deal. Great house, nothing wrong. The customer now wants a structural engineer to evaluate because there is a structural damage. Oh my God, do you know anyone? Do you know any structural engineers that would go to a home inspection? Does anyone knows anyone? You know too? Okay, I'm gonna talk and get their name because I don't know anybody that would go. They don't wanna do home inspections. And if they go, they wanna charge over $1,000, maybe $2,000, $1,000, $2,000, right? Which buyers don't wanna pay. That doesn't make much sense. So they got that report right there. They had a crack, and at the end, possible structural crack, recommend further evaluation by a structural engineer, which I really try not to use that statement, because if I write that way, they will try to find one, they will not find one, and they will not buy the house. Okay, so let's see what happened in this case. Yeah, I went there. There was in Orlando. I have business here in Orlando, teams in both locations. I told the guy, listen, I'm gonna be in Orlando on Wednesday, I can go. I'll charge you $500 and I'll take a look. It took me like 10, 15 minutes. Not bad, 500 for 15 minutes. So I took a look at that crack that you saw before, and in this one here, that was on the second floor. That was like in a hallway. Probably they had a TV and a sofa, and that was against the wall of the TV. Probably what happened there is the kids were playing video game and they bounced it off the wall. There was a crack on the wall. So I got the buyer. I said, let's take a look in the attic. I put the letter and I said, come here with me, take a look, because he wouldn't believe, right? So do you see those metal plates? If the house is moving, attic is gonna move, metal plates are gonna be displaced. When the house is moving, a lot of things moves, especially on the second floor. So I showed him, there's no signs of movement here. So everything is in place. Next one. So I flew the drone. I showed him the pictures, all walls, no cracking anywhere. So do you really believe that you have a structural movement in this house? There is no signs anywhere. It's just this wall. Buy the house, be happy. So he closed the deal. But the thing is, he went online and he typed, are there sinkhole in Orlando? You can do it in your phone and you're gonna see the results. You get what you're searching for. Anything you ask, you're gonna find evidence. And there were. And take a look here. The deepest sinkhole in Florida has deadly secret sinkhole in the, and there was one in Winter Garden. And the house was in Winter Garden. So was he concerned? Oh my God. Oh, there's a sinkhole just a mile from my house is gonna sink. I said, okay, sure, you can hire someone to do a soil testing and investigation. We're gonna spend $2,000, $3,000 and you can get further information. But take a look on all those houses. Nothing is moving here. Okay, so moving forward, the inspector was trying to get a lot of protection, but he didn't give perspective. And our job is to give perspective. And that's the challenge that we're gonna have with AI. The next one. So we know, right? House is a system. If the house is moving, it's gonna show in walls, floors, ceilings, structural elements, connections of structural elements, cracking, if there is outside and inside, yeah, that one is moving. Age, you need to take all those considerations and create the whole picture, not an isolated element. So last item here, and then we're gonna jump back. My wife saw this new news a year ago that a shark attacked a person on the shore. And I was going to go to the beach. I said, don't go to the beach. The shark is going to eat you. I said, okay, why? I said, well, because that just happened. That's how our brain works, right? The most recent information has the most impact. Like the sinkhole, I just saw it, so it's going to happen. But if you take a look at the probabilities, the chances for you to be eaten by a shark, it's 1 over 3.7 million. And the chances that I can die driving my car is less than 1 over 100. So she should be much more concerned than me driving to work or inspections than going to the beach. That's our job. That's what we need to do. What are the likelihood that this is going to happen? Is this really, is that a high percentage? Is it a low percentage? Giving perspective, it's important. That's our job, to give perspective to the customer. This is not likely to happen. It can happen, but it's not likely. And that was the case with the structural crack. So too much complexity confuses, too much simplicity, not enough information. We need to adjust. All right. And finally, AI doesn't do what you expect, it does do what you allow. So I adjusted the prompt now. That's my second version. So I wrote this one. You're an experienced home inspector, a reporting assistant in Florida, the same as before. Create a clear, concise professional inspection report, the same as before. Now I say, the output structure, I want to be defect implication recommendation, and each one no more than 1 or 2 sentences, because I don't want to have over-escalation. Style, brevity, be direct, avoid fluff, avoid educational filler, avoid excessive technical detail. That really helped me, my prompt, not to get in this trap, having that super complex, long explanations. Tone, objective and non-alarmist. I don't want to be creating a big deal of things that are not a big deal. And that helped me to really get the tone that I was looking for. Don't over-escalate. Stick strictly to the observed facts. And that's guys, this is a magic recipe. It took us thousands of comments and revising and over a year of working. This is a really secret sauce. If you use those words, and I'm going to give you the prompt at the end. If you use these words, you're really going to have a comment that builds confidence, gives information, and don't get things out of the proportion. Doesn't over-escalate. But the thing is, even with a prompt, one size doesn't fit all, right? You might have to develop different groups of prompts for different kinds of situations. We have simple maintenance, such as your aerator is clogged or your stopper is broken. This is a simple homeowner maintenance. You don't need a plumber to fix a stopper, right? So the second one, non-recommendation. You know what to do, what is the defect, how to fix is another situation. Another one is something serious, right? You have like a movement, structural crack, you need to have that further evaluated. You have situations that you have no idea, you need really to be more broad and have someone to come out and take another look. Those are different kinds of situations. So the prompt with AI is going to be, next one, it's going to be like Lego building blocks. You're going to have several blocks that you put all together, and at the end you have your entire house built. So it's several blocks of prompts combined that's going to give you what you need. For example, you have situations that you're just describing the characteristic. The house doesn't have gutter. It's just a description. It's not a defect. Another one, limitations. You can have permanent limitations. There's no edit. You cannot improve it. Or temporary limitations. You have things that are blocking the attic entrance. You can remove that limitation so you can have the access. Or you can have scope limitations. I don't inspect propane tanks. Those are all limitations, but they are different. And for each one of those, different prompts will be required, and then orchestration around the prompts. That's what it's tricky to use AI with home inspections. It's not just one thing, a simple thing. You have improvement opportunities, for example, extend the downspouts, avoid water pooling. They don't need to do it, but if they do, it's going to improve the results. We have safety notes. It's a lot of stuff. So that's what we're going to jump in. We're going to go through defects according to age, typical defects of newer houses, 10 years old, 20, 30, 40. I'm going to get one or two examples of each, and we're going to keep this improving and distilling the prompt. So at the end, you have a very good idea on how to build the prompt, and they'll give the prompt for you as well. So now we're going to go step by step, the basics. And let's start with what is a prompt.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Dan. My name's Fabio. I'm Cesar's son. I grew up around home inspections, and I decided to start a home inspection report writing software. We have a booth in the back if you want to check this out. And building on what my dad said, this is great. We're going to look at, hey, what defects do we pay attention at homes, usually around these ages, and how can we use these defects and use AI through the method of a prompt to create a comment in a faster way that can help us out, build our reports, and deliver them better to the home buyer, as well as protect us and deliver more value. But taking a step back, especially for us that have never used AI or don't know what it is what is this thing? So AI is just a type of software. Okay, well, what is software? Software is, at a very, very high level, is just any computer program that takes inputs, instructions, and produces some output. So let's look at some examples. Google Maps. What are the inputs that it takes? It takes where I'm at, where I want to go, how do I want to get there, and then what are the system instructions? Okay, get this person from where they are to where they want to go, and use this algorithm to do so. And then the output is the path and your ETA. Another example is Google Translate. The inputs are the text I want to translate, the language it's in, the language I want it to go, and then what are the instructions? Translate this thing and use this algorithm to do this translation. And the output is the translated text. So this is what software is. You can kind of explain and look at any type of software through this lens. It's input plus instruction equals output. Now, what is AI and why is it different? So with AI, the inputs are the text and the prompt. The instructions are follow the prompt, and the output is the interpretation of your prompt. So what's all the fuss about? The key difference that makes AI different and why people talk about it all the time is because for the first time in the history of software, we're seeing the system instructions being set by the user. On Google Translate and Google Maps, the instructions are set by the system. Translate this, use this algorithm. Take this person to that place, use this algorithm. For the first time in history, the instructions are, do what the person told you. And the prompt is what we tell it. And the output is the interpretation of our instruction. So this is why it's a big deal, is because it puts the user in control of the system instruction. Okay, so how do we use this? How do we, as a user, do the system instruction to get the software to output what we want? We do this through what people call the prompt. And today, that's what we're going to do together through the context of home inspections. Because we're going to pay attention that as an inspector, I look at these defects, and I'm going to do this prompt, these instructions to give the AI to give me the output that I want, to give me the comment that I want. So the prompt is just the instruction you give the AI to get your output.
Awesome. So now we're gonna go defects through the ages and use examples from those defects with AI. So let me see the time control. What time is we're gonna break?
Another 40 or 28 minutes.
8 minutes? Okay, sounds good. 28 minutes?
28.
28 at 12. Okay, so we have half hour to go. Awesome. So let's go through the next block. So far, so good. You got the idea of what we're trying to do? Okay, it's moving well. Okay. For those who never used AI and want to follow and get the computer and try to input the prompts, you can work at the same time as well. Feel free to open ChatGPT. And if you go on Google and type ChatGPT, you're going to find it. It's the first link. It's OpenAI. What is the link? OpenAI, right? All right, so let's get started. So, as I mentioned before, the only way that I could talk about AI is to talk about home inspections to get this approved with GDPR, so we're going to talk a little bit on home inspections. Now, help me. A new home. Let's discuss in a few minutes what are the most typical common defects for new homes. What do you think?
They're under-insulated.
Are they insulated? Okay, awesome.
Cracked roof tiles.
Cracked roof tiles? All right. What else? Anyone? I'm going to give it a try.
Yes. Normal shrinkage cracks or settlement cracks.
Normal settlement cracks? All right. Anybody else?
HVAC doesn't typically work well.
HVAC not well installed? Okay, awesome. All right, so we have a lot of premature wear and tear and defect installations. We see this all the time. The builder didn't do a proper job installing things. And maybe some design flaws, that's what I see. They didn't design it well, what should be done. So let's go through a few. Installation defects, there was a picture that I took. They were building a new development. The trusses were already bending outside because of the water. And I'm very sure that they're going to use those trusses in the house. Okay, next one. Quickly, I saw smashed ducts on the AC. AC is not working well, right? So the guy was trying to save a few bucks on the ducts, and everything was bended and curved. So airflow in few parts of the house was going to be terrible in this one. I saw several times builders not using single wraps. I'm not saying that Simpson attachment is bad. It's really good. But insurance companies don't care. They want to see the wrap. So if you don't have the wrap, you will then end up paying more later when we're going to get the wind mitigation. I always start to let my buyers know what's going on. This house, new construction, only 2 years old. They installed sprinklers very close to the stucco. I think they didn't waterproof well the foundation. So when going inside, there was a lot of moisture already on the walls, not waterproofing, and maybe the irrigation design. It's all related to design and insulation defects. Next one. That was very interesting. I was lucky that it was raining. And the water in the valley was just heating that condenser. I told them, listen, you were going to have a problem. Why not put some gutters? Right? Take a look at this one. That corner over there, oh man. It's just a matter of time. They're going to have a leak. Builders love to discharge second level to the first level. And that point where the gutter is discharged is going to be a stress point. And that's where it's going to leak. Can you see any defect in that roof? Right there, right? Imagine all the water from the top roof is concentrated in that just one point. And then they already had two. They already had repairs. They will have more. That's for sure. Poor design, poor gutter design. So let's get the first defect. Defects from 0 to 5. Poor installation, premature wear and tear, design. So I chose this one. That's the prompt that we had before. I'm using that prompt. So let's go to the defects. Gutters on the second floor are discharging on the first floor covering. I prefer that they would take the second floor directly to the ground. Some people don't agree. Everyone has a different opinion, but I see so many defects because of that gutter discharging on the first floor. I tell them if you can extend the gutter directly to the floor, doesn't look so beautiful, but it preserves your roof. So AI gave me that suggestion. I use AI with that prompt to write me a comment. That's what I got. Gutters on the second floor are discharging from the first floor. Excessive water on a single point create premature wear and tear and cause leaks. So it's getting very smart here. Recommend extending the downspout from the second floor directly to the ground or consulting with a roofer contractor. Apparently I'm very happy with that output. But I have some points here. Create premature wear and tear, cause leaks. I try on my comments not always to be so decisive. I don't know if it's going to create. It can create. I don't know what is going to happen. Everything's a possibility, right? I prefer can create, could cause leaks over time. And the second one, roofers don't deal with gutters. I don't know why ChatGPT doesn't know that. There is a lot of flaws on ChatGPT. When you talk about fungi, it says microbiological. Fungi is not a bacteria. There's a lot of confusion. I think it's because ChatGPT gets the content from internet and there's inaccurate content. I don't know. But that's a problem. It's not a roofer. It's a gutter contractor. So we need to make some adjustments and start building our dictionary of adjustments so the prompt can work the way we want, or I want.
Some roofers also do gutters though.
They do, but most of the roofers that I know, they don't do.
Right.
And it usually is a gutter guy. And I used to have this comment before, and my customers would complain, oh, I called 3 roofers, nobody deal. Can you give me a gutter contractor? So I prefer just to say gutter contractor. All right. So, and the thing that little words as will create or can create, little words can change our perceptions. And it's going to set the tone on how we perceive things. That's called framing. Framing is a big subject. It's how we make decisions, how our subconscious mind sends us the signal so we can move forward or away. Framing is a big topic on mind processing information. And I'll give you one example, framing. Take a look at this first statement. 95% of people from this medical procedure got an amazing results. This was an actual research. It was published in several books. It's a very famous example on framing. They did that research. 95% of people got an amazing result from this procedure. It was in a medical clinic. It was an experimental procedure. And you know what happened? Everybody said, yeah, 95% got amazing results. I want to try it. And they got high acceptance rate for the experimental procedure. And now they got another control group, and they used that statement. 5% of people died and had severe consequences for their entire life and impairment. And both statements are true. But when you say this way, do you think people are going to try the procedure? No. And they couldn't get almost anybody to test. So the way we say things has a big impact on how we perceive things. And little words as will or can plays a long way on the inspection reports. Okay, so let's see how we can adjust the prompt then. So next adjustment, and I keep adding the instructions, right? Usually what I do is I open a Word file or a text file, and I keep adding and I keep a log, and then I copy it back. I said, update the prompt to have all of that. Boom. And then I update the prompt to run those instructions now. And the adjustment is styles and liability implications. Always phrase consequences as possibilities. Example, may lead to instead of will cause. And one thing that goes a long way with AI, it's giving examples. So you give them the instructions and give one example. Example, this one would produce that one. So it can think and it can try to find similar cases and can understand better what you're trying to do. And then I added another one, specific trade rules. Gutters downspout, recommend a gutter contractor, never a roofer. That's another thing. I tell them what to do, and I also tell them what not to do. It's a gutter, and it is not a roofer. Being a little redundant on instructions goes a long way, because you make that model very, very robust, and it's going to follow what you're trying to do. All right, so now I tested. I copied the prompt with those adjustments. AI, please run those instructions. Boom. That's the result. And I tested with no gutters. I did another test. No gutters. Let's see what is going to come. No gutters. The home is not equipped with gutters or downspouts. This is a condition conducive to soil erosion and moisture accumulation on the foundation perimeter. It is recommended that a gutter qualified contractor evaluate and install a water management system. Well, it's a good comment. But it's not what I wanted. I'm very picky. It's not that what I wanted. You know what? The homes are not mandated to have gutters. You don't have to have fences. You don't have to have a lot of stuff. That's why most of new constructions, I go to Orlando a lot of new constructions, no homes have gutters. The constructors want to save money. It's not on the code. It's not obligated. I would prefer to say then, no gutters downspout noted, improvements are recommended as desired should water start to accumulate. Because I don't want the realtor to lose the deal because the inspector told him without a gutter I'm going to have an issue. Now I don't want to buy the house because I don't have gutters. That happened before with me. I put it, you need to have gutters. The buyer said, I'm not buying the house if you don't put me gutters. The inspector told me. The realtor called me and said, really? We don't have to have gutters. I said, yeah, you have a point. Gutter is optional. If you have a problem, you can install if you want. So I prefer no gutters downspout noted, improvements are recommended as desired, if you desire. Should water start to accumulate on the foundation? So they pay attention, something starts to happen. If they desire, they can improve. It's an improvement. All right, so let's see what happened. Prompt adjustment. Guys, I'm giving you all the magic formula to create prompts and have the ChatGPT do exactly what you want. This is after how many how many instructions we tested? Maybe thousands. This is the best ones. All right, so optional systems, gutters, screen, fences, and then you can keep coming back and add things that you want. As soon as you have a wrong comment, you come back to the prompt, you add another one, ChatGPT update the prompt to this one. If the input mentions a missing optional system, treat this as a condition, not as a defect. Now it's going to change the mindset. So if you say no fence noted, it's a condition, it's not a defect. No gutters, it's a condition. And now we start to move in that decision tree on how it's going to write. General rule. For optional missing items, example screens or gutters, improvements are recommended as desired. So everything that is optional is going to stay that statement. If you prefer another statement, you just put your statement, and you have the results that you want. So example, no gutters or downspouts noted. Improvements are recommended as desired should water start to accumulate around the foundation. Bam. And I give an example of how I want. Now, next time, ChatGPT or any AI that you're using get to that situation, he has an example, he's gonna try to follow you. So now AI is gonna become you. It's gonna produce results as you write. So remember, someone at the beginning of the presentation said, wow, AI is not you, but it can become you if you train him. It's like training an assistant, a new employee. You keep adding instructions and you keep teaching how you want it to behave. All right. So one more or lunch?
That's 12 minutes.
12 more minutes? So one more. Common issues for homes from 2010. That should be closer now to 15 years. What happens when we start approaching 15 years? What do you think? Let me get different people here. What do you think? 15 years old, what's going to happen? What are you going to see?
Flat roofs deteriorating.
Yes, flat roof. It is starting to approach the end of life, deterioration.
I'm not following.
Okay, no problem.
Water heaters need to be replaced after 10 years, stuff like that.
Yeah, 15 years water heaters are approaching end of life. They're gone. My friend, what do you think? Homes from 15 years old, what do you find?
Worn shingles.
Worn shingles, yeah? Yeah, worn shingles.
Warren Shing, yep.
My friend?
Paint and siding. Paint and siding?
Paint and siding.
Paint and
Yeah.
siding.
Siding starts to say, what happens?
Well, it's going to need exterior paint.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
then caulking.
Awesome. After 10, 15 years, you need to paint that house.
At least once.
At least once. Yes, cool. I love it. Very good. Yeah, shingles, a lot of stress, flat roofs especially. After 10 years, 15, yeah, we're gonna see wear and tear, blistering, alligatoring, bubbles. That is the motion entrapment. AC, time to maybe replace AC. Those dirty coils, rust around water heater showing, approaching end of life. Yeah, that painting outside, cracks starts to show, time to a new paint. Don't seal the cracks, the moisture is gonna come. All very good defects. But I'm gonna choose something different because I need to keep innovating and bringing different situations to our prompt. So I found this propane tank and I wanna write my comment. So let's see what happens. Noted propane tank, not included on inspection. We don't inspect propane tanks, not part of the house. And I got that comment. Propane tank was observed in the property. Inspection of fuel storage system is beyond the scope of inspection. Visual assessment was not performed. It's recommended that the fuel provider or a qualified specialist evaluate the tank and connections for safety and compliance. All right, it's a valid comment. But if I write that, the buyer is going to say, oh, I need the propane inspection. They call the realtor, say, I'm not buying the house until I know what's happening with the propane tank. The deal doesn't move. It's not even my part of my inspection. I really want to create all that extra work for the realtor to be able to sell the house. You can. Everybody has a different approach. I just want to stay on my lane and not give so much advice on things that are not on my lane. I would prefer propane tank was not inspected. It's outside of the scope of professional inspection. Is noted as a limitation. That's it. I don't inspect, not my problem. But if I tell them that they need to inspect, the deal doesn't move until they inspect, if they're reading the report. All right, so another adjustment. And remember, I have this on my Word file. I write something, I put on the bottom, I keep adding instructions. And it's like creating a manual for your ChatGPT. You copy and paste, run this new set of instructions, run this new prompt. And it's going to update, and it's going to follow the new set. That's how you do it. Several interactions. So protocol, double column, scope limitations, not included items. If the input indicates an item, it is not included or out of the scope. Mandatory phrasing, use exactly. The item was not inspected, is outside of the scope of this professional inspection, and is noted as a limitation of this report. That's it. Stop. Do not provide a recommendation for further evaluation. I don't want them to get a device of evaluating things that is not even my part of the inspection. If I see a generator, I'm not inspecting. That's it. Not inspected. Not part of my inspection. Because if I tell them to inspect, Rito is going to call me, oh, why you're telling them to inspect the generator? It's not your job. Okay, I want to stay in my lane. So I created that instruction so my ChatGPT doesn't give suggestions that I don't want. The thing is that with limitations, I'm not going to do this now, but you might need to have adjustments for every kind of limitation. As I mentioned before, there are limitations that are temporary, there are limitations that are permanent. You have limitations, you don't have electricity. So the suggestion is to reestablish utilities so you can re-inspect. There was one of the limitations. I did this house in Winter Garden. Cannot see anything because the vegetation is covered. You need to clean the vegetation and ask me to come back. There are limitations that is just not included on the inspection. It's a different comment. So for each one, you need to have your own set of rules. That's how you build your prompt. All right, so it's 5 to 12. I'm going to finish 5 minutes before 12. We have a lunch now from 12 to 1:30? 1:30, 1 hour and a half. I'm going to be in the corner there. I can help you to set your ChatGPT and play a little bit if you have any questions. After the break, we're going to see more defects and we're going to keep building the prompt. I'll give you a full prompt at the end so you can start using. It's a good starting point. FABI is going to talk more about AI. He's going to talk about how to use this in a practical life during an inspection. He's going to give an assessment of current solutions that are in the market and what is the difference between all of those and how you can be effective on using AI with those two objectives so you can get the results you want, save time, produce value to your customers. See you soon. Have a great lunch. Pode baixar. Sim. Ótimo.